There we go. Had to work on some stuff technically just to get everything done. But with that said, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you are doing well. Got a good bit to discuss this afternoon because, it is quite eventful. And let's just cut to the chase here because, my goodness, we're going to have a little bit of a wild stretch coming up here. But first things first, let's talk about this. This is a freeze warning that if you saw earlier this morning from other sources, it was set in place and the Weather Service put this into motion. And this is really just between the three offices, Sterling, Mount Holly, or Philadelphia, and Wakefield. This is covering basically the eastern two-thirds of the state, Washington, Frederick, Montgomery, Prince George's, and Charles County on eastward throughout the rest of the entirety of the state. You already had your freezes up in, let's say, Garrett County, Allegheny County. There was also some snow. We'll talk about that in a moment, but, look at this. Just look at this. Freeze warnings until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning that will go into effect at 11 o'clock tonight. And this is the first really big freeze of the year. Pardon me, not the year, the season. The first big freeze of the season for a lot of us. Temperatures will be around freezing in the city. North and west will easily be below freezing and probably into the 20s the farther west and the farther north you go. So, in rural areas, let's say Montgomery, Howard, Carroll, Frederick, Washington, and especially close to the Mason-Dixon here in our northern tier of counties, do not be surprised if you end up with some 20s to start off the day tomorrow. So be mindful of that in terms of freezing. Let me just show the winds as well because it's really interesting. We've had some really strong winds this afternoon. And let me just switch this to the dark so you can see that. We've had really strong winds for a good chunk of the afternoon. And actually, if I can open up Radar Omega and just show you the BTAR observations. By the way, there's been notable snowfall out in far western Maryland. There have been reports of up to an inch, and I can just turn, I believe we will have storm reports in this particular setting here for snow. Hang on. See if snow pops up. Does snow pop up? No. Let's try this. SPC snow reports. Try something else here. There's winter. Alright, so that should pop up for us. Winter, state filter, Maryland. Go back to yesterday. I'll have to go back to yesterday. So, do this. Back here. That should pop up for us. There we go. And you can see here in Garrett County, there was a good chunk of snow here. And I'll actually zoom this in a little bit tighter so you can probably see it better on the screen. But those little blue dots in which you see across Garrett County, for example, I'll pan up here, 2.3 inches near Grantsville. That's a pretty large total for an early snowfall there. And this was 9:23 UTC. So that would be 5:23 this morning. There's some snowfall up there. This is near Accident, Department of Highways, about 2 inches. And then 1.8 near Accident again. This one by Deep Creek Lake near Deer Park. 2.5. 2.5 near Oakland. Or actually, this is in the city of Oakland. I believe that might be by the airport, if I'm not mistaken. which is really interesting in that regard. And then even as you head into Preston and Tucker counties in West Virginia, you got you got some snowfall there, and then even into Southwest PA. And this goes back into the Cleveland area. Chicago got some good snowfall. Back up to Wisconsin, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and even up into Minnesota as well. An eventful day in terms of snowfall across the Great Lakes region, spanning down into the Appalachian regions of the Mid-Atlantic. So, very interesting in that regard. My goodness gracious. And I think I can actually pop this up on Radar Omega as well. Give me a second just to pop this up for you. This should open up. And there we go. And I'll actually do this. Let's go with winter weather. I'm curious to see, because I haven't really had a chance to look at the radars here. Go full 250. Let's see what it finds. Shows us rain showers last night. There's that activity that did go through Western Maryland, and I think Pittsburgh might pick up on that just a little bit better. Let's see. And even now, still, there's some, it's picking up on potential snow that may be falling out in Garrett County still to this point. And that was a 350 scan, so that was 5 minutes ago. But here's last night. See that rain? And there's some of that rain, and it's starting to pick up on the snowfall a little bit, but it might have been a little elevated. There we go. There we go. It picked up on the snowfall pretty nicely for those morning hours, and I'm going to put it into motion here. You can see that snowfall. Do not let the green fool you. Sometimes the elevation can interfere with what the radar's picking up, but it was snow that did fall out in Garrett County. You can see along the Garrett Highway and back towards I-68. And it did start to dissipate towards sunrise before another quick burst of snow did pass through earlier in the morning. So, pretty interesting out there. We had some snowfall. Still, though, we've had some really strong winds. And getting back to the wind portion of this, it's been breezy all afternoon. I was just out about an hour ago, and my goodness, those winds, they add a bite to the air. And I could hear them still passing by the house in my room right now. So there is that. Let me just pop up the METARs. Too detailed. And we got some pretty strong winds. And I'll actually turn on wind direction, wind speed. Seeing 15, 20 sustained in a lot of locations here. I'll take the airport. At the airport, as of 3 o'clock, we were at 22 sustained, gusting to 32. And that will interfere with the wind chill most certainly. In fact, I can do this real quick. And I'm just going to do this here. We're going to go to IEM. I like this for our observations. Last observation at the airport, 49. And our winds are at 19 knots, so that would be 22 miles per hour. And I could actually just look at this as well. Pardon me. I think observation history will also be a good way of looking at this. It's 49, but our wind chill, factoring in those winds, is 42 at the airport as of the last update. 22 gusting to 32. I doubt downtown still has winds, but I'll check downtown. Nope. 51. Let's do Hagerstown. 45. They have winds at 20, gusting to 29. Wind chill of 37. Goodness. And it's been as low as 28 this morning. So, pretty brutal out there, at least for terms of where we were just this past weekend and late last week. And look at the turn that we just took now. My, oh my. Let's check Frederick here. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see this better. I'm sorry. Right now, Frederick's at 46, winds at 14, gusting to 25, wind chill of 40, and I'm just going around here. Garrett County Regional is at scroll down. Well, 345. They just had a 345 update. Interesting. 28. It's been cold out there for the last couple of days out there. And the wind chill's 21 with the winds at 7 gusting to 16. The winds haven't been all that harsh but out there as compared to Central Maryland, but goodness, it's been cold. It has been straight up cold. To start off the day, it was at 21 with a wind chill of 18. Ay, ay, ay. And then let's check the eastern half of the state across the bay. Right now, Ocean City is at 52. Northwest winds at 16, gusting to 28. Somehow their wind chill hasn't really been altered all that much. And then let's check Salisbury. Right now, Salisbury's low this morning was 39, and their wind chill was 34. Right now, it's 52, but the winds are at 17, gusting to 26, and it's been gusting as high as 30 at times throughout the late morning and into the afternoon. So, very interesting in that regard. I'll check Easton. I'm just looking at statewide numbers here. Winds at 14, gusting to 23. So you can tell it's been pretty windy out there for a lot of locations, and that has had an impact on the temperature that it feels like on your skin throughout the course of the day, depending on where you are. And let me just take current temperatures statewide here just to give you a full perspective. Let me take temperatures full. There we go. It's obviously it's 28 in Oakland. We're around 50 in the metro, even though Eastern Shore and closer to the waters, the Western Shore even has an influence on that. And also our winds are very, very gusty. So despite having the water from the bay on the eastern and western shores influencing a little bit of our warmth that we have compared to, let's say, Hagerstown and Camp David, the Catoctin Mountains up there, it's 42 in Hagerstown, 39 up at Camp David right now. It's still very, very chilly, and it will add a bite to the air that you will notice. It's 50s down in Salisbury and Ocean City, 48 Cambridge, 46 in Easton, 50s down in St. Mary's counties, 50 in St. Mary's City. It's 53 over at the Patuxent Naval Air Station. And Joint Base Andrews is at 46. It's 50 at Reagan, and it's 40. What is it? 45 is that Dulles? No, that's not Dulles. This has got to be Dulles then. Yeah, 47 at Dulles. Forgive me. That's heading up towards Leesburg, up there. So, pretty chilly afternoon. Tonight's gonna get cold. I'm just gonna be as honest as I can with you. Tonight's gonna get really cold. The coldest that we've had all season to this point. Let me just show you here. Also, before I do that, let me just talk about data calendar, and we'll go to November. Forgive me here. I have to zoom out just a little bit so I can get back to this. Do November 1, and I'm really interested in the wind gust statewide, so we'll put up all of the stations that we have in play, all 24 of them, or more like 23, 22 of them, because Ridgely is, of course, out. They've been out for years. But anyways, 37 mile per hour wind gusts. That's been the highest at the airport, and that was 12:30. Whew. So we've seen, well, excuse me, 45 mile per hour wind gusts at Patuxent, and that was the 8 o'clock update this morning. 45 mile per hour wind gust. You don't see that a lot of days. And Oakland had a wind gust of 47, and that was during the overnight hours with that light snow that was falling. So, it's been quite windy at times. Not as much for Oakland during the mid-morning into the afternoon, but 47, that's nothing to scott around with right now. Let me check some other numbers here. Um, the minimum wind chill was 9 degrees in Oakland this morning. If that is correct. Let me just check the observations here. And again, it's really interesting to see all of this because I'm just now looking at the data for the first time along with you. But let's do this. What's this at? Oh, 7 o'clock this morning, 7:25, 8 o'clock. That's not a good way to start off the day. Waking up to wind chills that were around 9 or 10 degrees, single digits already. November has arrived and is giving us a swift slap in the face in terms of our temperatures. This is a far cry from where we were late last week, to say the least. Also, gotta check some of these other observations out here real quick. Seen Leonardtown down in St. Mary's County. How about 30-degree wind chill? And Martin had a 29-degree wind chill. Camp David was at it was 19. Sorry, I was kind of thrown off there for a second. But looking at that real quick. Just a little notification I had. Forgive me. But anyways, it's going to get cold tonight. Let me just show you temperatures here. And we'll refresh this. Have the latest, GFS data in. And I'll zoom in a little bit tight for you. So you can see this. Actually, there we go. You know what? Let's do pivotal. Let's do pivotal weather. Pivotal might have a better idea of this. We'll do Euro first, and then we'll do temps. And I'll zoom in. This should be good. All right, so heading into tonight, it will be a widespread freeze for a lot of us. Around 30 in the metro areas, probably in the 20s north and west and nearby suburbs. Out in far western Maryland, lower 20s tonight are pretty much a strong possibility. And then even on the eastern shore and the Delmarva, it will be cold. Mid 30s, maybe we're lucky enough to stay in the upper 30s, but even then, unless you're by the Chesapeake, it's going to be a rather chilly night for you. And even then by the Chesapeake, we're talking around 40. So those shoreline areas of Kent, Queen Anne's, Talbot, and Dorchester counties, you're not going to be much better, if at all. And I'm really curious about the wind chill as well. So let's do wind chill heat index. Take that. And I'm really curious for tonight. This was earlier this morning what it was projecting, and it was spot on. It was pretty spot on in terms of the wind chills out west and just the state overall. But let's check tonight. Those winds that may be a little bit persistent may keep our wind chills even lower. So we're talking probably around upper 20s to around 30 in terms of wind chill in the metro. Even colder out west, and maybe not as brutal as last night was and early this morning was for western Maryland, but still tonight it's going to be very, very cold in terms of wind chill out into the Appalachians. So bundle up, make sure you have the heater on, the blankets are there, because it will be a cold night across the state. And we bounce back fairly nicely for tomorrow when you really think about it. I mean, we'll be around 50. The winds will be not as harsh. A much more better day considering the circumstances. And then Look at the warm up. This is Friday. We're talking upper 50s to around 60, and we're talking classic fall weather for Ravens Seahawks on Sunday. It should be a really good day for that. If you're planning to go to the bank to see the game there, it should be a good one there. The Seahawks are looking like a pretty good team in themselves. But besides that, that is what we're looking at. Our warm up's going to be very, very quick once we get past this. But we just got to get through tonight because we're going to have some cold weather that we haven't been used to in a while. Let me check GFS here real quick, and let me see what they are predicting in terms of the temperatures here. This is morning, and then tonight, I think the GFS is underselling it in the metro. I think we will probably be around freezing, more or less, and then 20s way out west, and even into the higher elevations, we could drop it to the teens. Wind chills won't be as harsh, but the air temperature will probably be a tad bit colder, even more so than last night. And down in the Delmarva, freezing could also be a possibility as well, hence the freeze warnings for a lot of us. I think it's GFS loves to tend to oversell the temperature in Baltimore in terms of the plot there, but even then, it is going to be a cold night. And then tomorrow we bounce back, and Friday looks even better, heading into Saturday and Sunday. Just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful conditions. Even into next week, our temperatures will be warm. The problem with that is this. We will have to have a trade-off, and that trade-off will be rain for the early portions of the work week. And I'll run this through. There's Monday into Tuesday. Monday's going to be warm, and then here comes Tuesday with this upcoming cold front and this low pressure. Probably some rain chances there. And then Wednesday behind us should be better. Into Thursday, our temperatures will cool off a little bit again. How much, though? Let's fast forward this to next Tuesday. Alright. Forgive me here. I'm doing a little bit of thinking here on the fly. Come on. Alright. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then that should be Tuesday as the front is passing through. Our temperatures will take a couple steps back, but not terrible, at least in the preliminary runs that I am seeing. So, just keep that in mind, but other than that, should be really, really good in that department. What else did I want to discuss here? Because there's been a lot. Let's talk about real quickly here. And I do not know why this is acting up on me. But anyways, let's do this. Let's do climate. And this is now data. We'll use now data for now, but even then I'll have official data in tonight. But let's do this. Daily Almanac, and we'll start with BW, with the Baltimore area first real quick. So 32.30 we've had for the year. 38.27 is normal. So we are pushing towards, actually I think we are. Let me make sure. The math in my head. Yeah. We are half a foot again below where we should be. October was abysmal in terms of rainfall when you really think about it. It was just miserable in terms of what precipitation we got. Let's also talk about Hagerstown here. And again, these two stations, I know I'm going to get um, observation summaries for today around, like, let's say 5:30. The weather service likes to release those around then for the general public, so I know I'll be able to get those then. But for the year to date, 2081, 3023. What is that? We're running a little over 10 inches. No, a little under 10 inches, actually. We're running about 9.5 now, give or take, below where we should be in Hagerstown for the year. It's been bad out there. Um, I know that Annapolis has just been abysmal. 3810, 2572. Y'all, this is this is serious stuff. We're talking a foot below where they should be for the year. A foot in terms of rainfall. We'll do a couple more here. We'll do Cumberland. I'm curious about Cumberland. Cumberland for the year 25, 21, 33, 67. A little over 8 inches below average. And then, is there any more in there that I want to try to do real quick? Let's check joint base. Do we have joint? Is Andrews on this list? Pardon me. I see Frostburg, Mechanicsville. I think I see joint base on here. I don't see it. All right. We'll do AKQ. And this should be Wakefield, Virginia. Yes, it is. We'll do. Where's Salisbury? Oh, look at Salisbury. Actually, no, that's not the one I was looking for. I'm looking for Daily Almanac, and I know I'll get an update for Salisbury later on tonight. But up to date, year to date, we're 10 inches below where we should be. 10.22 to be exact in Salisbury. Again, I don't know how we get through each of these updates, drought monitor updates each week without getting any worse than where we were, because my goodness, it has been bad in terms of rainfall. But of course, I have a new drought monitor out this week discussing it during the forecast I have set there, and I'll do so. Keep that there and look forward to discussing that with you later on Friday and during the weekend, because it's been a mixed bag to say the least, and it's going to continue to be that way for a while, and we're running out of time. We're in the last 2 months of the year, and typically when we look at the averages for the months of October, no, should I say November and December, our averages are 3.13 in November and 3.71 in December. And right now, we're behind a good 6 inches. We would need to not only reach those benchmarks, but more than likely surpass them by a good bit. I mean, even then, we're still going to be behind the 8 ball by a little bit of a margin there. Even if we were to get all that rain that would be average for November and December, we're running out of time, and when you look at this, and I can actually look at the records here. Actually, we can look at this here by just doing climate, historical records, local data records, monthly precipitation since the late 1800s, 1871 to be exact. Looking at this, if right now, 40 year, we are at, let's do climate from KLWX. And we haven't even picked up any rain. Excuse me, we picked up 1/10 of an inch of snowfall. No, that's a record value. Forgive me. Picked up nothing. That's the record value. But right now for the year, we've picked up 3230. And of course, this is not a likelihood to happen. But if we were to not get any more rainfall, and I'm going to zoom in here, that 3230 would be, let me do this here, and then I'll zoom in for you. 3230, that would be the least in, oh my goodness. Look at this. 3230, that would be the least since 91. I don't think we're going to get to that point, but is it a possibility that we could, unless we see a lot of rainfall very quickly, that this could be the least wettest year that we've had in terms of our rainfall in the last half decade? Easy. The last half decade would be easy, if not the last 10 years. Potentially the last 15 as well. I mean, 10 years. I mean, the lowest that we've had since 2013 was 38.28 in 2017. Now, if we're talking 15 years, that would be going back to 08. We would be talking 37.42 in 2012. And if we were to start talking since the turn of the century, we have to not pick up any more than 2 inches. And that also, considering our trends of rainfall, could be a possibility. Now, again, this may not come to fruition, but if we're start talking since the turn of the century, we would be talking about 2001 or maybe even the 07 year, where we didn't even pick up 35 inches of rain, which would be ridiculous. And this would be 5 years after we had the most rainfall in a year in Baltimore ever. 2018. That was the year Ellicott City had the second 100-year flood in as many years. I think we picked up that same month. I think we picked up in July almost 17 inches of rain. 16.73. And looking at the months here, 1, 2, 3, 4 of those months, a third of our months in 2018, we picked up 8 or more inches of rain. 8 or more, which is brutal to say the least in terms of rainfall. Snowfall's been also another problem. We'll save that for another day. I may save that for, let's say, next week or even towards the end of the month, because we have been really struggling to see any form of snowfall at all, period. So we'll talk about that at some point down the road. Would likely be later on in the month as we head towards December, as we head towards those winter months, because that's a discussion that would need to be had, to say the least. And if you have been looking at snowfall totals and how little it has been compared to our averages, not just for the last 2 or 3 seasons, but really the last 6 seasons, potentially heading towards the 7th, which would be quite something indeed. But anyways, with that said, I'm going to close it off here. Just be aware we do have the winter weather advisory. Not, pardon me, not winter weather advisory. What am I doing? The frost warning. This snow's making me think winter weather advisory, but a frost warning that is in place from Washington, basically Washington, Montgomery, PG, Charles, the Potomac River, on eastward throughout central Maryland, the eastern shore, the Delmarva region, from late tonight into tomorrow morning. Hard freeze, not our first really major freeze of the year or the season could be on tap for us. So if you have any plants, obviously bring them inside. Be mindful for pipes and all that stuff because you don't want that to freeze as well. That can cause a whole nother array of problems, to say the least. But again, just really, really be mindful of that. Stay warm also tonight because it will be chilly. The wind chill won't be nearly as bad, but still, just stay warm. It will be not so pleasant in terms of the temperatures tonight. So, with that said, I will sign off for now. Be safe, be good, people. I will talk to you on Friday because we have some stuff to discuss, including a really more positive outlook for our forecast compared to the latter half of the weekend and entering into this week for this upcoming weekend and into next week. So we'll look forward to talk to you about that on Friday and into the weekend whenever you see this. But anyways, I'm Jay Mitchell from 4NOWX, wishing you a very pleasant Wednesday afternoon.